Hello and welcome to the Dance Yourself Brave show, where we get real about the struggles dancers face, from confidence battles to self-doubt, and how dance has the power to make us braver, stronger, and more unstoppable in every area of life. I'm your host, Mariana Santos, founder of Brazily Fitness. And whether you're a seasoned dancer, a dance instructor, dance lover, or someone who's always wanted to dance but feels a little intimidated to start, this show is for you. Expect honest conversations, inspiring stories, and simple ways to bring more dance into your life, whether that's in the studio, on stage, or right in your living room. And if you're a dance instructor, we've got you covered with tips on how to grow your dance business, attract more students, and create a bigger impact through your passion for movement. So if you're ready to step out of your comfort zone, own your movement, and dance yourself brave, let's do this. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Dance Yourself Brave show. I'm your host, Mariana Santos, founder of Brazily Fitness, and I'm excited because I have another awesome guest with me here today, Josh Nitkin. Welcome to the show. How are you doing this morning?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Awesome. Well, I'm so happy to hear all about your story. So let's just start off with Josh Nitkin is a dance teacher, choreographer, and adjudicator with over 20 years of teaching experience. So we have a lot to unpack today. So why don't you just start off telling us about yourself and how you got started with dance?
I'm an 80s baby. I wish I could actually remember this, but I was 3 and I watched Singing in the Rain. And apparently I just said to my mom, I want to do that. I want to dance. And I hit 4 and I hit my first tap and jazz class, and here we are. The 6 years later now, I guess. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I'm an 80s baby too. So
That's it. Like,
all 80s babies, yeah, but I didn't start dancing that young. I mean, my mom told me about a few stories where I would, like, do little dance performances and stuff for my family, but, yeah, I didn't, take traditional classes early.
I feel like our generation is maybe, I don't want to say it doesn't happen anymore because I have a kid, but like I remember having dance parties like with my mom.
Yeah,
Like she'd be playing Motown or disco or, like the 80s music of the time. And we had records, right? That's what it was. We had a record player back then. And yeah, we would just like dance party in the living room kind of thing. And it's like, I don't know. Nowadays, it's like there's just so much access to more different kinds of media that it's not, you know what I mean? It's not the same. But I can't speak for everybody because I definitely do have dance parties with my kid as well. So,
yeah, same here.
I can't really, that's maybe a broad statement for me to say, but
Yeah, I remember, like, with my sister, we would put on, like, shows for our parents, we would, like, come up with a whole
for sure.
routine and stuff. I hope that still happens.
Of course. Oh yeah, that has to happen.
Yeah.
Like the kids at the studios now still like I remember doing that at competitions, coming up with dances, like because we would have hours. Like sometimes we didn't even dance that day. We would go to competition waiting for like siblings to dance or whatever, and that's not till way later. So we'd come up with our own because we didn't have phones back then. We're here to dance.
Yep. Yeah. My daughter's only 4. She likes to dance, but she hasn't gotten to that point yet. We're like, Mommy, I want to put on a performance for you. So hopefully we'll get
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. My daughter just turned 9.
Okay.
And this is my first year. I'm choreographing her solos. It's been a new experience. Just definitely new. I'll say that.
I bet. So why don't you talk about some struggles that maybe you faced when you first started dancing? Just, kind of walk us through that journey.
I guess it's kind of a classic male thing. So I started when I was 4, and when you're like little, nobody cares, right? It's like that's it. Like everyone has their own life or whatever, but it's once you start to get 9, 10, or 8, 9, 10, and then you get to puberty. Yeah, it was tough because I love to dance. Like it's always been an escape. It's always been a thing that I guess it was probably when I was 9 or 10 that it went from being a hobby, even though I was already competing by then, to no, this is what I want to do with my life. And
Oh,
of
that's
course,
early.
yeah, I did Taekwondo when I was 7, and there was this movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme called Double Impact. And he played a guy, well, he played twins, But one of the guys was a he owned like a fitness studio and like a dojo, and I wanted to do that. I was like, you know what? I want to own a
Love
dance
it.
studio and dojang. Like that's what you have in Taekwondo.
Hmm.
But that was like a funny little dream. But then once I hit like high school, I stopped doing. Like I want dance became my focus because I just you couldn't do both like consistently like so but yeah, so the struggles were, I was bullied at school all the time. I'm not a tall person. I was like, I'm one of the shortest in the class. I wore glasses, and I was proud of my dancing. So if there was ever a talent show or anything, I'd bust out a tap solo. Back then, it was very common to use slurs, call people things, and so it was that was probably the biggest struggle being at school, especially puberty ages like grade 7, 8, where it was like because it wasn't just a bully, it was like everybody. Like I had a couple of my friends, but it was everybody. And I was like, and dance was my escape. And I was very lucky that my parents always supported me. Like never once you'd think, okay, maybe like your dad wants you to play hockey or do sports, but I was terrible at sports. I sucked. And my dad is just as long as it makes you happy kind of thing. He was always like that. He's always still. He's like, as long as you're doing what you love to do kind of thing, and we'll support you. Yeah. And then my cousins, again, like they were sports guys and big guys. Like I'm 5'5", maybe 5'6". They're 6'2", 6'4". They would come to my dance competition and they still talk to me 30 years later, be like, yo, I remember that time you did your top solo and you had the crowd eating out of the palm of your hand. And I'm like, that's really cool that you remember that, because I remember going to their baseball games or whatever. And so, yeah, the struggles being bullied, and grade 7 was definitely the hardest year. Like when it was one of those like me against the world kind of thing, to be a little, I guess, broad, but I was fortunate that I still had a support system.
Yeah, and that's really wonderful that your parents supported you, and I know that's not always the case, right?
It isn't. It really isn't.
So I'm glad that you had that support system, but I'm sure it was very challenging. I think that anytime you do something that's a little bit different, right, you're going to face some sort of critique, and kids can be brutal, right? So I'm sure all of
Well,
that is challenging.
they can, and it wasn't even just that. It was like I was not only was I obviously the only guy dancer at school, but for the longest time I was the only dancer. Period. Like there ended up being a few others, or they just wouldn't say anything. And what really sucked, I remember as well, and I was actually recently talking to somebody about this. There was a boy I danced with, and he's a tremendous dancer, and I don't want to like drop his name or anything, but he was on So You Think You Can Dance Canada, and he's a brilliant person as well. But I remember we did Taekwondo together. He was about 5 years younger than me. And I remember we were at Taekwondo and we had to leave. The first place we trained at closed down because the owner was a gambler. So we went to another place, and that place made fun of him for dancing. I was like, no. I was like, because Taekwondo, what was great about Taekwondo when I was a kid is Taekwondo and dance helped each other because I get stronger and more flexible at each.
Yeah.
And Taekwondo helped, like we would say, like, there was the studio or the school like mandate, or we had words like courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control. Like it was all these things, but it taught you discipline. So then, like, to go to another place where they're making fun of you for doing something that also helps facilitate what you're training in was really sad. And I remember I was like, and that's when I stopped around, because I was about 14, and I was like, I can't be at a place where the other place liked the fact that I danced,
Yeah.
because they would see the progression in me as well. And they would see the fact that, because dance, you learn choreography.
Hmm.
Taekwondo, you learn patterns, right?
Yeah.
For like training. So it's like they helped each other.
Yeah.
So to be at a place that didn't do that was really sad. And I hated seeing this kid get picked on, and I was a kid. So what am I going to say to a master? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was really weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, that was a little tangent, but
But it's good to see that insight, and how, at a young age you were true to your values and you were like, no, like I'm not standing for this. And yeah. So, but like you said, it is sad, right? Because maybe if you were in a different environment, you would have, stuck with the taekwondo as well, and then you would have fulfilled your dream of having
yeah.
both
Oh
the
my God.
studios.
Oh my God. I actually couldn't even imagine. Like that would just be, you would need some amazing admin person, let me tell you.
Yes.
Like,
Maybe that's why it happens only in
yeah,
the
I was
movies.
like, yeah, exactly. Oh, and movies, sure, yeah. Or it's like in the States, you can have like, you know, I actually do know of some studios that are like a whole facility where they do have training and stuff, but it's like it's just yeah, different beast, different beast.
Speaking of that, where are you based out of?
So I'm in Toronto.
Oh,
I
okay.
yeah, I
Still
teach.
Canadian.
Yes, yeah, sorry, yeah, I'm Canadian. Yes, I'm in Toronto. I teach in Toronto, in Oakville, in Burlington. I kind of teach all over. Yeah.
I'm in Ottawa, so we're not too far. It's
I
just
was just there.
awesome. Very
Yeah,
cool.
I was just judging on stage
Very
like
cool.
this past weekend, yeah.
Well, yeah, most of the interviews I've done have been with American dancers, so it's cool to get another
Nah,
Canadian.
they're
Yeah.
like, Canadian. Ridiculous. There's
We're
no,
cool. We're nice people, right? Isn't that what they say?
I mean, I think we are.
I think we are. All right. So let's talk about, all those struggles that you face with bullying and everything. Like, how do you think going through all of that has shaped you as a person? And how does that affect your life today?
I think for anybody that's really, I think we've all faced bullies at one point or another. Do you know what I mean? Like there's physical bullies, there's verbal, there's mental, emotional, right? We sometimes we don't even notice if we're being bullied, right? So I think it helps me become a little, I mean, as dance teachers, I feel like we are empathetic, period, right? Because you're working with kids, you know, you can't be cold, right? So I think I have become a little bit aware when bullying is happening, but the thing is, we also don't see it, right? Because I hear of things happening at a studio I'm at or whatever, and I'm like, really? Because it doesn't happen in class. So it happens outside of class. So when I hear about stuff, a kid being bullied or a kid being haunted or whatnot, you do tend to become more like your senses are acute, like become acute of it. Like I'll notice a kid's body language, you know, because again, no matter what, excuse me, if I was being bullied at school, like it would still affect my dancing because there's always that part of you that's like, maybe I shouldn't dance, right? No matter what, even though like I knew I love to dance, I knew this is what I want to do, but I have a school of people telling me I'm like making fun of me because I dance, so maybe I shouldn't, right? Even though there was no percentage that wanted to stop ever, and so what I see because of that, it's like I try and notice if a kid, and then I will make sure that they are like that they're not alone. That you know, it's like you try not to be like so personal with a kid, but you need to know that they're not alone, that they're not the only ones that have faced it, and then you try and stop whatever's happening. Period, right?
Hmm.
Because the dance studio is a safe space, right? So when there are bullies, like that it shouldn't be allowed anyway. Period. If it's within the studio, but if it's anything's happening outside, you know, there are times you come into class and you see like I have walked into class, you know, I got my backpack on and like you just know right away. Okay, wait, what's going on?
Hmm.
What's going on, guys? Like you just know the energy is flat. The energy's gone. It's dissipated, like because of whatever. So just to become hyper aware, you know, and then there's sometimes, hey, I'm in my own head and we got to get to work. But just to make sure that it is, because that's what you want. Like, yeah, you want great training, but you want kids to feel appreciated, but like just safe. Like you're at a dance studio. This is a place of, you know, love, understanding, and training, you know?
Yeah. And what's, kind of on that same train of thought, like what's something that you wish your students knew about you? Like, are you open about your struggles or is there
You know what? I
something
don't
else?
know if I've like, because now I'm at, I'm at two new studios this year. And one studio I'm at, it's my fifth year, I think, technically. But I'm teaching a bunch of new kids, right? So it's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty open. You know, I don't, hey, I guess it's like, this is a weird thing to say because I don't really wish they knew this, but and again, this is a broad statement because I, I feel like dance tutelage, dance training, teaching students, and I think this goes beyond dance teaching as well. We take stuff home with us. We think about our kids, right? So if a kid is struggling in class, we don't walk out the door and like, all right, see you tomorrow, right? Or see you next training. It goes home with us. It's like I remember my cousin of mine, he owned a business and I owned a studio for a while. And he's like, yeah, don't take the business home with you. That's impossible
Yeah.
when it comes to dance. That is impossible. You're answering emails, you're doing music editing, you're booking costumes and competitions and admin stuff. Like it is impossible that, to not take that home with you. And then just being a teacher, yeah, you see the progression in kids, or you see a kid regressing because you're like, why is this kid not like, what's going on?
Hmm.
And then you don't just, yeah, as a dance teacher, I mean, I just feel like it doesn't leave us when we walk out the door. So I'm not saying I wish kids knew we were thinking about them because that's weird to say.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there is we
Hmm.
do like it just, and it's not like a zoning out. I don't know, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like I feel like
I
I might not
understand, and I
yeah,
understand how, like, maybe sometimes, some students might think that, you're just there to train them, and sometimes, like, you have to give a little bit of tough love, right? And maybe they think you're being
yeah,
unfair, right? But I think them knowing that, how much you think of them outside of the class, like, shows that you're really coming from a good
yeah,
place, right? And you're thinking
bec-
about them, right? So I'm sure that's
because
super important for them.
they affect our lives and we
Yeah.
affect their lives.
Yeah.
That's why it's like certain things you say to a kid
Mhm.
can be an absolute motivator or can take them out of it,
Yeah,
period.
exactly. So talking about that, like, do you want to share maybe a recent student success story with us? Something that stands out?
Okay, this I don't know. Okay, it's weird to say because it feels recent, but it's actually like 10 years ago.
Okay.
Um, yeah, like this is probably just one of my this kid. I started teaching when she was like 10 or whatever, and I had gone to this new studio, and then I owned the studio for a while, for 8 years, with my ex partner, and so this kid, it came to the point like she was a part-time competitor, right? And she wanted to be full-time. Her and her duet partner and a couple other kids. I was like, okay, well, if you want to be full-time, we gotta up your hours. This is the training you gotta do. She did it. And the first year, so she competed in the full-time category for like 2, 3 years. First year, she did okay. She did okay. She held her own, but it wasn't much to write home about. And I said to her, like, we were at the one competition, right? And let's say it's like, the 95 is like whatever, titanium or something like that. And she got the level below. She got like the ultimate. And I was like, look, you're gonna get there, right? Like you just got to keep going with it. And she's like, okay. Right. And she felt good about her performance. And it was all the following year, we're at a big comp. Like it was Move, right? Which is huge competition. And it's the final day. She's doing her solo and her solo makes it into the finals, right? Like it's the highest solo in the studio. So she makes it to the, all the top solos are competing. And finally it's the end of the comp and it comes for awards. And it's literally only, myself, my partner, and it was like this kid and her mom at competition. That's it. Everyone else is gone because it's been a long day and we were a small studio. We're not expecting much, but we just wanted to hear the results. We just want to support. I think there might have actually been one other kid who was like 7 and this girl's like 15. And they announced just top 3 and she gets called for third. And I've never seen a kid's face been so surprised. Like she's like, I was like, go,
Yeah.
right? Like, and her mom, I remember telling me like this is a teenager. This kid like slept with the award that night.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I have that picture of, I was standing, she's holding it and I've never seen a smile so big because that was it. Like she knew, you tell kids like I know what you're capable of. And they don't believe it, right? They don't. I'm like, no, you can do more. We'll get you there. And they don't trust you, right? You have to earn that trust. And this kid did, but didn't believe that she would hang there with the big dogs. And
Yeah.
she did. And then
Awesome.
she went on and she did, she got on to get higher awards and higher marks and all that. But it was that moment she was on top of the world. And I will never, for as long as my teacher training or being a teacher, I'll never forget that. And again, it's not about awards. Like it really, I make that clear. I
Mhm.
tell kids getting awards, getting overalls, that's icing on the cake.
Hmm.
The fact that you get on stage is a victory in itself. It takes guts to get on stage. So guys, you know what I mean? Like I don't teach and I tell kids, you like, what is it? Talladega Nights. If not first, you're last. I
Hmm.
don't teach like that. But just this moment with that kid it lives rent free in my brain for life. So yeah.
I love that. And I'm sure she will never forget that too, right? And never forget how you were part of that story, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And her mom has mentioned it to me, years later. Like
Yeah.
that was the moment, and this kid that's the thing too. This kid she went to Concordia College University. Like she's doing civil engineering. Like
Mm,
this kid's a genius,
mhm.
but still is it like still will train. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I love the fact, like, yeah, I don't expect you to be a dancer. I would love that. But no, you're doing something like you got like some crazy job. I could civil engineer. I don't even know what that is. I know, I feel like that's city planning. I don't know. But but the fact that she still has dance as a part of her life,
Mhm.
it makes me happy as well.
Yeah, and it shows, like, the impact that you're making, right? Because I think that's one thing that I talk about a lot, right? Like, we're not sure if our students are going to go down like the professional route, right? But, it will serve them no matter what career they decide to take on, right? Like, as a civil engineer, they're going to need to be resilient and, like,
A
disciplined
thousand
and all that
percent.
stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. Again, literally just had this kind of conversation. There are things you learn in the dance studio
Hmm.
that you don't realize, like
Right.
independence. Because
Hmm.
dance, you work independent, but you also have to work with pairs. You have to work in a group. You have to be a leader. You have to be a follower. You can't just take the lead all the time. You have to learn to. We tell kids to practice. Like
Hmm.
you don't. The hour you get at the studio is not. That's not going to take you so far.
Yeah.
You have to take ownership,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, yeah, and discipline, of course. Yeah. So they can go into any field and be like, you know what? I learned how to do that at my dance studio.
Yeah.
Like
It's
that's, yeah,
just easy peasy now.
exactly.
Yeah. And what do you think that the world needs more of nowadays? In this crazy world we're now living in.
Two things, compassion and understanding.
Yes. I cannot agree more.
Because, oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just feel like we've started to regress in terms, everything has now become black or white again.
Mhm.
There's no shades of gray,
Yep.
right? If a kid is giving you attitude, they're just a bad kid. I'm like,
Mhm.
no, what's going on with them?
Yep.
Is there something happening at home?
Mhm.
Right? Of course, it can be frustrating,
Oh, yeah.
but there needs to be more understanding,
Yes.
like compassion, because I just feel like, yeah, it's like that was either perfect or it sucked.
Mhm.
And it's like, no, there's so many shades of gray.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, yeah, if it was up to me, not up to me, but uh, I do feel like understanding is, and yeah, yeah, I think
Yeah.
empathy, the world needs more of it, for
I
sure.
agree. I agree. And what advice would you give to someone who is maybe now curious to start dancing, but they're listening to this podcast. Maybe they didn't have an opportunity to dance as a kid, right? What would you tell them?
I take the leap. Take the leap. Just again, I was teaching on Tuesday, and one of the classes, the last class of the night, I'm working with some kids, but there's an adult tap class happening, and I heard this somewhere a long time ago that your fear factor fully kicks in at 21, right? That's why kids can just they'll do whatever. They're
Yeah,
daredevils,
that makes
right?
sense. Yep.
And then as you start to get older, you're like, oh no, like I don't want to do that, right? It's because we start to understand the world a bit more and whatever how brains function. I don't know,
Hmm.
but your fear factor starts to fully kick in at 21. So if you haven't done something like get out on stage, if your fear of performing on stage, that starts to hit its peak.
Hmm.
To say take the leap is one thing, but yeah, like the fact is there are a lot of people that, yeah, they wanted to dance and
Hmm.
it maybe wasn't offered in their hometown. Maybe they just didn't
Yeah.
have the money. Maybe it's just the opportunity never came up,
Hmm.
but find an adult class because there are so many people
Hmm.
that are in the same boat
Yeah.
that just want to get into a class for themselves. And you'll see, because there are so many adult classes full of adults that are beginners and of all ages. I taught an adult hip hop class 2 years ago. There was one person in there that had trained. The other 15 were absolute beginners, and they were somewhere younger than me, late 30s. some were in their 20s, some were in their 40s, 50s, 60s. And they were all in the same boat because they just wanted to move. They just wanted
Yeah.
to learn a step or two. And the energy was incredible because of that. So it is scary,
Hmm.
but do some research, see what, like, just as you have to research for your kids, what studio, research as an adult.
Yeah.
What would you like to learn? What class? Do you want to get into a social dance with a partner? Do you want
Hmm.
to do like, do you want to do ballroom, or do you want to do like a hip hop class? Do you want to do a jazz class? Because it's weird. Like, people do yoga classes,
Hmm.
but I don't think yoga puts the same pressure because you're doing exercises and breathing and just bettering your body and your mind. But that's what dance does too.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
different. It just, yeah.
Yeah. And it's so true. As we get older, we put these like mental blocks on ourselves, right? And then that kind of robs us joy, right? Because then we miss out on things that could bring us so much more happiness, right? And
It's so true.
yeah.
Like, nothing's better as a teacher to see a kid just enjoying what they do. And on the flip side, man, see adults come into your class and be like, that was so fun. Oh my God, I love that. And you're like, yeah, I did too, you know? And I would always panic. Like, I get nervous teaching the adults because they're adults. And some are older than me. So I'd be like, man, like, this is their money. They want to be here. I hope I'm giving them a good class. And then they would. It'd be the best class of the night just
Yeah.
because the vibe would be incredible.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. So why don't you share how people can get in touch with you? Maybe they're in the Toronto area, want to take classes with you. Share everything that so that they can reach out.
So I teach, I mean, I don't own a studio or anything, but I do teach. I teach at, I'm at Canadian Dance Company in Burlington, and I'm at Creswell Dance Academy in Toronto. And I don't think you could just ask to be in my class. There are lots of great teachers on faculty at these places, and they are incredible. And but if you want to get in touch with me, I have my social media. I'm on Instagram at Dancing with Mr. Josh. And oh my God, I hated TikTok so much, and now I got back into it. You can find me there. I got my YouTube, same thing, Mr. Josh Dance. Yeah, you can always find me that way.
And I'll make sure to add all the links to the show notes so it's easy for people to click and get in touch with you. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Josh. I love hearing about what you're doing, and I really appreciate you, sharing your story and being so authentic. And I'm sure that people listening will relate to your story, and hopefully
Yeah,
it'll
thank
help
you.
them. Yeah, thank you so
It's
much.
been a pleasure.
And we'll have to do a part two sometime, right? Like we were talking.
Yeah, I owe you. The technical difficulties on my end. I owe you.
But we're dancers. We're resilient, right? We
Yeah,
figured it out.
exactly, exactly.
Well, thank you again. And thank you for tuning into the show. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel and also leave a review because that's the best way for us to reach more people and just spread the joy and the love of dance across the globe. So thank you again, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for tuning in to the Dance Yourself Brave show. If today's episode got you hyped, inspired, or just made you want to bust a move, do me a favor. Subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear today's message. Sharing is caring after all. And hey, don't forget, your courage is already in you. Sometimes you just gotta dance it out to feel it. Catch you next time. Keep shining and keep dancing yourself brave.